Welcome to Idaho Partners for Good onboarding process. I'm Blossom Johnston. I'm the founding director and partner for this transformative movement that you have joined. So we're super excited about having you be onboarded for the work that we do. Our crew, which you are now part of, is a passionate group of leaders and experts that have proved that the model that we use has impacted our state already in a few short years. So we talk about time, talent, and treasure and investing that throughout this onboarding process, but it essentially means that what we're doing is no matter who you are or how much you have as far as money or lack thereof, everyone brings something good to the table. So we want to tap that for the greater good in Idaho and beyond. So we're grateful for you and for you setting aside a few minutes of your time to learn what you need to know about Idaho Partners for Good. So let's get started. It began in 2019 with a small group of people who began meeting to design a new to Idaho approach that ensures that our communities and families thrive. From the very beginning, we knew that we needed to build a movement based on three core things. One is the collective wisdom, meaning that everybody brings something to the table and it should be have a place. Next is human-centered design, which we'll talk about more in the onboarding process, and then continual improvement. Even our name, Idaho Partners for Good, emerged through a crowdsourced approach. So let's get moving. Alrighty, so here's what you can expect from this video. Participants will understand our mission, vision, and values, our structure organizationally and revenue-wise, our approach and why we use it, the 5 main product lines that we have right now, the results, and how to engage effectively. So by the time you're done with this, you should know exactly what Idaho Partners for Good is and what you can do to help us and those that we serve. So there's a quote by Jim Hightower, who was a political activist and author, who said, "The opposite of courage is not cowardice, it is conformity. Even a dead fish can go with the flow." So it's important that you know that we don't go with the flow. We actually swim upstream in order to design solutions that are not part of the status quo. All right. So at the bare minimum, we want you to understand our vision, mission, and values. Our vision is that our communities in Idaho thrive because the investments that we make of our time, talent, and treasure develop stronger, healthier, better equipped nonprofits. Our mission is we are reinventing how people give, share their expertise, and do greater good together. And our values, which are super important and are embedded throughout what we do, are we are learners, we have entrepreneurial mindsets, and we design solutions with the end user. So this is the place that we ask you to get grounded and from which we all work. So when nonprofits are strong, then they can do more of what they do best. So from the very beginning, we knew that we needed to build a movement based on those 3 things I talked about in the last slide. And so we're going to, this quote at the bottom is from Ben Franklin, and it says, "How few there are who have courage enough to own their own faults or resolution enough to mend them." So this is a quote that operates on both sides of what we do. So we ask those hard questions of ourselves, but we also ask them of the donors that we educate and the nonprofits that we come around. So courage looks like looking at what you need to improve on and having the support and the courage to start addressing those things. So I want to dive in a little to our values because, as I said, they're embedded throughout our DNA. I mean, it's our DNA and it's embedded throughout our organization. So the first one is around learning. Engaged philanthropists, which if you're watching this, we consider you a philanthropist because you are a loving humanity, which is the definition of philanthropy. So engaged philanthropists committed to results and lifelong learning. So we can't do a lot for those that we serve unless we continue to learn. The next value is really around the mindsets of entrepreneurs. So those key mindsets are flexibility, innovation, and having engaged perspectives that are unlike our own. So we try to get people from different sectors, different backgrounds, different expertise, just the cultures, so that we can really come up with new solutions. And then the last one is the nod to human-centered design, which we use in most of what we do, which is around ensuring that the end user gets what they need. I will speak a little to this one in regard to the current philanthropic sector, or mindsets are really around this a sense of hubris where we know what to do, and if you'll just follow what we tell you to do, that it'll be fine. But what we need to do is ensure that the end users, the nonprofits and the donors that we work with, get what they need. So our values are really what ground the work throughout the organization. We hold these things tightly. They do not change regardless of our circumstances. So you'll learn a little bit more on how we educate donors, which is what I just mentioned as well. So values run through the donor education piece that we do. Alrighty, so in the nonprofit sector, there, as well as many other sectors, there is a dearth of leadership. And so we are stepping into that gap, and we want to lead by example. We don't um, tell other nonprofits how to do things if we're not willing to do it ourselves. So we begin with this code of ethics, which is something that you will sign if you want to get involved with us. And it helps you understand what our commitment is to those we serve, which we call our grantees, our commitment to fiscal integrity. So if somebody wants to see our books, we will show them our books, the commitment to the public, and then commitment to each other. That's a big part because in our work here, we try to do things as in teams, or at least in two people that are doing being deployed out into the work with our grantees. So um, once you express an interest in engaging with us, then you should have gotten the code of ethics to sign. And it is the way we ethically show up in the world in these four areas: the grantees, fiscal integrity in the public, and with each other. So we really want you to read that carefully, because you're responsible for showing up this way if you represent Idaho Partners for Good. So we do take these things seriously, and we do monitor those that are deployed out into our grantee work, so that our grantees, our end users, get what they need from the relationship with Idaho Partners for Good. Alrighty, another way we lead by example. So, like most transformative movements, we have our own language, including some key terms, which capacity building is a term we use a lot. By the way, in your welcome email, there should have been at the bottom of that email a list of resources, and one of those resources is our key terms that we use across the organization. So I want you to think about, when you think about capacity building, here's a good metaphor. So think about the model of healthcare. You go and you get a checkup and see what's working and what's not working. And the healthcare provider diagnoses the condition and prescribes a course of action. Well, good doctors don't just look at what's broken, they look at the system of your body and the environment around you before they start making recommendations. And that really is our approach. We do a 360 organizational assessment to understand the underlying conditions of the organization. We then help to co-design and build the operations and infrastructure that a nonprofit really needs so that they can operate in a healthy manner for the long term. So when you think about capacity building, think about how you navigate your personal health through the use of coaches and healthcare providers, wellness, physical fitness, all of that stuff. That is our approach to the nonprofit sector. So we have capacity builders. We've got over 100 of them now. And these are people that have specific expertise. So we've got people from Intuit and Micron and Simplot and Starbucks and Frito-Lay and, just a lot of different places. The J.A. and Catherine Albertson Foundations, just places that we have a lot of experts from a variety of places, and that's another reason why we like to deploy in teams, is because each person brings their toolkits, and when we deploy in teams, we have at least double the tools with the people that go out on our behalf. All righty. Next up. All right, so this is really around our strategy. We are a big believer in systems thinking and strategy that will move the needle so that we can really get to where we want to get in the next decade. We believe these 6 strategic pillars are the framework upon which we will hang all of our tactics and our evaluative measures. So the new impact model, what that means is what we do is new in Idaho. So it is this coupling of capacity building with unrestricted grant funding. So we're trying to create a culture of impact for Idaho's nonprofits through what is technically called an organizational effectiveness model. It's the way that we support, resource, coach, hold accountable, and evaluate those that we work with. The next one is really around what impact are we having on nonprofits? We want that to be front and center as part of our strategy. So as we mentioned in an earlier slide, our vision is to build stronger, healthier, better equipped nonprofits using the organizational effectiveness model so that we can nurture and support their long-term health. The third one is impact on donors. So we call it the philanthropic coin. And on one side, it's the give better side. That's the side where we need donors to stop and think about how they're giving and really whether they are holding some very common myths about philanthropy and nonprofits. So on the one side of the philanthropic coin is the education to donors. On the other side of that philanthropic coin is that impact on nonprofits. We call it Get Better. So the two sides are Give Better and Get Better. So the Give Better is on the donor education side. The Get Better is on the nonprofit capacity building side. So we have, I'll talk about one of our product lines in a minute, but this is really around helping donors, philanthropists, ground themselves in their values and start giving unrestricted funding. The next one is, if we're doing those two sides really well, there should be a huge impact on the community. And the way we do that is multi-generational and multi-sector. So we've got the nonprofit sector, we have the philanthropic foundations, we have the government sector, the company, corporate, business sector. All of them have to be involved in moving this approach forward. So that's when we really have impact on the community. The next one is visibility and leadership. If people don't know what we're doing, then how do they know to come to us to get help or to teach them how to give better? So we want this to become the gold standard of both the philanthropic sector and the nonprofit sector. Then last but not least, this is a lead by example, going back to that language, is we have to develop the infrastructure that other nonprofits want to engage with and emulate. So in the last 4 years, and it's been a very, very fast 4 years, um, we've been able to do a lot with essentially just two consultants, part-time consultants, and then a whole lot of volunteer muscle and energy. So since 2020, we have had, we've served over 60 nonprofits. Some of those we've gone really, really deep with, like Boise Bicycle Project, Jesse Tree, Idaho, Hope House in Marsing, Life's Kitchen here in the Boise area, as well as Gem Friends, NAMI, Idaho, and Good Samaritan Housing. And they represent a number of different community pillars like the performing arts, transportation, veteran services, youth services, eviction prevention, housing, and mental health. They represent, these nonprofits that we've served have come from 7 different counties and 8 different state organizations. Then on that Give Better side of the donor, we have what's called the Strategic Charitable Giving Workshops, and we have educated 39 different philanthropists, actually more than that, but the baseline is 39. And they represent individuals, foundations, companies, healthcare, breweries, you name it. So this has been a really a thing that has grown in the last couple of years. We have been able to give unrestricted grants of over $85,000 now. We've had over 100 experts deployed, and the amount of pro bono consulting by experts we value at a low end of $250,000. So we're getting a 4x return on our investment in this sector, which is only because of people like you who want to get involved in something that works. Okay, let's talk about our product lines. So we talk about this because we really want to start moving the language as well as the methodologies in the philanthropic sector. So we show up more as a business than a nonprofit, but we do follow all the rules and regs of a nonprofit. So we have different levels that are meant to be door openers or the top of the funnel in a sales pipeline. So we start with the Nonprofit Success Lab. It's a monthly workshop, 1 hour. It's focused on building the knowledge of board members for nonprofits as well as the leadership in a nonprofit. So we want to really, the purpose of that is to really help boards to govern effectively. It has been our experience that very few board members have been onboarded well and provided with the tools and have been equipped to govern well. So Nonprofit Success Lab, that's where we start. It's an entry level for relationship with the nonprofit. The second deeper level, mid-level, is our transformational leadership cohort. It is a 6-month leadership development cohort, and it is to go deeper into leadership competencies and organizational excellence. So we bring teams of 3 from different nonprofits and we put them together because we know iron sharpens iron. And so when you could put them into a cohort experience where they're in a monthly workshop for 4 to 5 hours and then they're coached weekly by our experts, then they're going to get better faster. The next one is our deep dive. And so we give both unrestricted grant and pro bono consultants, and it's an all-in level. So we do the 360 assessment, which is a diagnostic tool. We then co-create action plans that then we resource and we monitor and evaluate. The next one is our strategic charitable giving workshop. It is donor focused, so it's that give better side of things. And it is focused on educating philanthropists. And it's really to help them identify their values and then to align those values with nonprofits that they care about, and then to give them our framework so that they can ask the right questions when they are getting into a relationship. And it's really designed for philanthropy to go the distance with the nonprofits that they care about, instead of a shotgun approach where they give here, there, and everywhere, and it has little to no impact, either in personal satisfaction for the donor or the nonprofit that they're supporting. The last, but certainly not least, is our consulting practice. This is how we fund our operations. We're not sexy, so people aren't going to just naturally give us donations. So what we do is we're leading by example in monetizing what we do best, and we've turned it into our consulting practice. So we have independent consultants that we deploy under our umbrella, and a percentage of what we make from the client funds our operations. All right, here's our organizational structure. Fairly simple, straightforward. We have a board of directors. They know they're supposed to oversee our strategic direction. They know what their 3 fiduciary duties are, which are loyalty, obedience, and care. So if you're sitting on a board and you did not know that those were the 3 things that are your fiduciary duties, then go check out our YouTube channel to learn more. They provide executive oversight and they are responsible for financial and legal compliance. Then we have teams that you can jump on if you'd like. The evaluation team is a group of people who love to look at how we know things are getting better. So what gets measured gets attention. Fund development is about being an ambassador on our behalf. The communications is we have an excellent communications coordinator, and from time to time, she needs help growing our visibility and credibility, especially out on social media. So we love to have people who are willing to help us grow our presence and visibility out on social media. And then we have our consultants. So if you would like to know more about that particular structure that we have, then get a hold of me. Next is our revenue structure. So I talked a little bit, we're not necessarily a place where donors think first, because they want to typically give directly to the nonprofit that they care about. The difference here is when donors give to us, we essentially gold seal their investments. So we can tell them that's a nonprofit that you should really be investing highly in, but it's because we've gone in and done the groundwork and gotten in under the hood. We sponsor events, so that's another revenue stream. Clients is where we get the majority of our funding. We do write grants, but they're very select. It's very, very common in the nonprofit sector that people spend a lot of time writing grants, and oftentimes it can take them off their mission. So be real careful. We're real careful about the grants that we write. Then there's a lot of crowdfunding kinds of things: Thrivent, Fred Meyer, Uncommon Giving, Cause, Benevity. We're on all those platforms, so designate us if you would like to. And then, of course, we're looking at creating events, but only events that are actually going to generate money and not suck the life out of volunteers. So That's a lot of information. Now what? Well, we'd love for you to join our movement. And there's lots of ways to engage. So the teams that I mentioned are evaluation, well, our board of directors is the oversight team, and then evaluation led by Dr. Lance McGinnis, um, our fund development team, our communications team, and our consulting team. So that's a great way to get involved. Volunteer, come and be a capacity builder. We've got openings all the time. So if you've got a talent and expertise and you want it out in the world here, then for sure we can find great ways that that can happen. If you want to open doors to companies, government agencies, foundations that use consultants, that would be so, so awesome. Give yourself to grow and scale our efforts. Open doors. We love to go do presentations to service clubs and to home groups and to giving circles and to churches and wherever. We love to show up. So open a door to them. Um, Host a strategic charitable giving 101 workshop. That would be an awesome thing to do so you can learn. And then those that you care about that that do give, they'll learn as well. And our movement will continue to grow. So one of the things that we always get asked is, what's the difference and why do you think this is needed? Well, just really quick overview is traditional philanthropy has been filled with a lot of hubris and a lot of inequities. And we want to right that ship because we know that it is a better way forward if we use the approach that we're using. So traditional philanthropy, you got a grant and it's 1 to 3 years. And then a lot of times, a philanthropist will start something and they expect the nonprofit to be self-sustaining in 3 years, and that is almost impossible. So then they feel disappointed. So there's a lot of that negative spiral that goes down instead of up when you use that particular approach. The funding ends on a specific date. They restrict their funding to targeted programs or initiatives instead of the general operating costs, which then really begins the starvation cycle for the nonprofits that you care about. And then the funds are based on specific programmatic outcomes, usually, that are determined by a grant agreement. On our side of the equation, we typically give multi-year funding. And it could be long-term resources. We've got people who now are sitting on other boards that we've worked with that have been working with the client relationship management systems of the nonprofits that we've worked with as well over time. So our people, once they find something they really love, then we release them and say, go after that one and support it. So we want people to have a safe place a safe umbrella where they can get out and really begin to use their expertise in ways that make a difference. In fact, I'll just mention, if you know people who are interested in becoming a board member, send them our way, because what we'd like to do is start really training, especially younger generations, to be well equipped and knowledgeable to sit on a board. So that's one of our strategies that we're starting in 2025. With us, as the nonprofit's capacity grows, then we start to look at whether or not they need the funds. We do unrestricted. This is the gold standard in the nonprofit sector. Too often, like I said, on the traditional philanthropy, they say, nope, no staffing, no overhead. But what we want is we want them to do what they know to do best, which is pay their people well, so they're not actually standing in the food stamp line. We make outcome-based investments of time, talent, and resources, and we hold them accountable. So what are the next steps? The original outcome that we talked about early on in this video is that you know exactly what IP4G is and what you can do to get engaged. So if that didn't happen, then please reach out and let's talk. I will also tell you that this is just the bare minimum. The best thing you can do is come along for the ride and learn as we go. We are a very innovative group of people. We try stuff to see what works, and if it works, then we pour fuel on it. If it doesn't work, we stop. So you should have received a link in the welcome email to complete the survey for this video, and then also to complete the skills matrix if you want to do capacity building with the nonprofits. If you're not planning on doing capacity building, then you don't really need to fill out the skills matrix. So I love this quote by John Wesley. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. That is my mantra personally. So I'd like to end by thanking you for engaging with this transformative movement to develop stronger, healthier, better equipped nonprofits so they can do more of what they do best. We encourage you to check out the additional resources that we listed in your welcome email because they're really good. In fact, one of them is a podcast with Dan Heath, and we use his book Upstream in our work. So we like to work from a systems level and create thoughtful responses instead of quick reactions. So as I stated in the beginning, we take learning seriously because our nonprofit sector deserves the best experts possible. Our success is dependent on each crew member being prepared to engage with their time, talent, and treasure. Lastly, this isn't work that happens without funding. So if you're able to support us or you know of others who could support us, then please, you can go to the homepage of the website and click the donate button, or you can get a hold of me. If you know of others who are needing consultants, ping me for that one too. Otherwise, we'll see you on the front lines of strong families and communities. Thank you so much.